Okay, so Gibson and affordable, usually not the combo that you have too often, but something caught my eye the other day, and I thought maybe we could talk about it. But first, we should probably play some music. So yes, the Les Paul Jr. I have been loving this guitar so much since I got mine. And what caught my eye the other day was I saw one used, and I'm like, wow, that's really affordable by Gibson standard. And I want to kind of talk about Gibson in general here in just a minute. But this is not a sponsored video by anyone. I'll link some of these guitars that I'm talking about, as well as a new one if you want to see. Maybe you don't like used stuff, you want a new one. I'll link that all down below. But what caught my eye was that there was a Les Paul Jr. that popped up. I've wanted a double cutaway TV yellow Les Paul Jr. for a long time. Of course, you know, Facebook, all that stuff, they get you because those ads pop up on the side. I'm like, all right, you got me. I click on it, you know, and it was too expensive. It was like an old vintage one. And I was just kind of like, there were other Les Paul Jr.'s listed beside it. And I'm like, oh, wow, that one's like $800. I'm like, man, that's kind of crazy. Like, there must be something wrong with it. I'm like, nope. And I was like, how much are used Les Paul Jr.'s right now? So two things here. If you're not subscribed, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate everybody who does that. And second thing is, what do you consider to be an affordable Gibson? You know, typically, just, you know, having been a Gibson fan and looking at them for a long time, you don't see many Gibsons go under that $1,000 mark. So especially to see one to go not only under 1,000 but under 900 and into the 800s, and I even saw a Les Paul Jr. special that was like $750 used on Reverb, and Reverb typically has like the high dollar prices. Like they haven't really been the most like gear friendly here for the past year or two. So when I saw those on Reverb, I'm like, okay. I got my Les Paul Jr. New. It was just like it had like a dent on it or a ding or something like that, which that stuff never bothers me because I'm like, I'm going to do that anyways to the guitar. So if it saves money and the guitar is still completely functional, I'm all over that stuff. But I bought mine right before Gibson jumped the prices on these. I don't even actually know what these are going for now. So whatever they are, mine was quite a bit less. I know there was a pretty big jump last year, or earlier this year, whatever it was. So I was surprised to see them. I say so low. It's still a lot of money. $700-800 is not cheap, but by Gibson standard, if you look at like a normal Les Paul, you know, $3,000. I'm like, that's pretty affordable, you know, comparatively. And I was like, you know, I could sell a couple guitars and get one if I needed to. You know, it's like to get an actual Les Paul, that's a whole different story. You know, that would take a lot more. I'd have to get rid of a lot more stuff to pick up one of those, but I thought that was cool because Les Paul Jr.'s are so cool. Now, there's a lot of people who kind of combat the whole get a Gibson, whatever it is, argument with, dude, my Harley Benton is just as good, my Epiphone is just as good, and they might be. You know, I don't know. I haven't played every single Harley Benton or every Epiphone, so they could be just as good. For me, part of it is all of my guitar heroes played Gibsons, and that might not mean anything to anyone else. Can I get the headstock in frame there? It just means something to me personally. You know, it's not that I think necessarily that they're so much better than these other guitars or anything like that. I grew up watching Leslie West playing a Les Paul Jr., and that headstock said Gibson on there. I grew up watching Slash. Headstock said Gibson. So that is something to, I think, the individual, it means something. I know a lot of people say you're paying for the name. Sometimes you kind of are, you know. I don't know if they're just as good or better than these other guitars, but I know that all of my guitar heroes, and it's probably just like the inner 14-year-old kid inside of me, I'm just like, I don't know, I want to play the guitar like Slash. I want to play the guitar, you know, like Allman Brothers, you know, something like that, Greg Allman. To me, that stuff is exciting because the price of used gear is going down now, making it way more accessible. There were so many guitars that I would see, and I'm like, man, I want that thing. You know, I'd be willing to like sell something to get it, but man, that's just too expensive for a used one. I'm all for used. I love buying used guitars, or like, 'cause I know Sweetwater will offer like a floor model or so, whatever they call it there, and they take off, you know, 5%, whatever it is. And I think that's what this one, you know, like I said, there's just like the little ding in it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all about that stuff because I'm going to do that anyways to it. And it doesn't bother me if the gear is used. So to me, that's exciting because if you have never had a Les Paul Jr., it does so much with so little. And that's what's really appealing to it. You know, it's kind of snappy and barky. You can do a little country on here. So moral of this whole story is if you've ever wanted a Les Paul Jr., the prices are going down. You know, check those out while they're there. Like I said, I don't know how many of them are even left by the time this video goes up, but there were quite a few. So this might be a good opportunity for some of you guys who are really wanting to get into that Les Paul Jr., just super simple, straight ahead, rock and roll machine kind of vibe. That's what a Les Paul Jr. is 100% about. So that's the moral of the story. Now's a chance to get a Les Paul Jr., an affordable Gibson if it means anything to you. And I'm going to go ahead and end it bluesy, Les Paul Jr. style, with the tone knob rolled all the way down.